And now, Hardcore Wrestling presents In the News with Bay Area MVP.
Alright, Hardcore Wrestling fans, good afternoon all over the world. We got a good one for you for HWR in the News for Wednesday, March 4th. But before we get to these nice articles and pictures, let's introduce the crew. He's the boss of HWR. He's Rick. Rick, no more let it snow, let it snow.
You know what? It's finally starting to fucking melt here, but you know what? I still don't see the trees are green except what's in my pipe.
I guess he's trying to trend something, folks. Next, he's Lance Moss, the incomparable one from YouTube. Lance, how's it going out there in Tennessee?
Raining and fisting turning to ice tonight, so could get interesting.
Oh, you can think of another idea for your redneck gourmet cooking videos. And finally, he's my tag team partner. You can find him on Twitch, Twitter, and everywhere else. He's James from the Big Easy. James, those bees on your picture, Jerry Springer much?
Jerry, no. His Mardi Gras over. I need to change that picture.
Yes, you do.
Oh, also, welcome to Academy, man. Help you.
Fuck the Academy. Anyway, all right, folks, well, we're going to start off today with a little bit of SpikeTV. Yes, when we last heard about SpikeTV, okay, agent, go away. SpikeTV, when's the last time we heard about them, folks, when they decided not to endorse TNA Impact anymore? But we're going to go into a little bit of a major deal, and I'm going to tell you right here. They had a presentation earlier this morning. SpikeTV unveiled a new logo for their network. The Hollywood Reporter reported that, and the logo looks pretty nice. You guys can find it on Google. They announced
SpikeTV. Because it's on there right now.
Exactly. And the network announced that it signed a deal with the Rock's production of $7 Production, which is owned by him and his ex-wife, Danny Garcia. The production company produces content on focused troops and army warriors and soldiers and veterans, and it will range from live events, specials, and initiatives to sports-related projects. It was seen one of the major reasons why SpikeTV dropped pro wrestling, specifically TNA. And they have a new logo to go along with their new slogan. It's called Spike, the ones to watch. Then Rock went on Twitter to say, "Strong day of business in New York. Thank you, partners of Viacom." He hashtag 7 Productions. So, Rick, we'll go with you first. Now we know why Spike dropped TNA. Rock's production company, $7 Productions, and new shows. So, what do you think?
Well, you know, it's kind of weird considering that they, for many, many years, Spike had gone in this one direction where they were kind of like an all-guy sport TV show. And not just necessarily with wrestling, because they had done it with, they did the Man Show for a while. They had 1,000 Ways to Die. I'm not sure if that's the actual name. I forget the name of the show. Yeah. But they also had Bellator Wrestling. It was really a guy TV show. So, we heard all the stories about why TNA went under. We've heard about some of the money issues that there were with negotiations, kind of went south. But, obviously, if they had to go to make changes, I'm wondering if it was more than just that. But, it's kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah. You'll read the report, though. But, all right, Lance, to you. Spike dropping TNA for Rock's production. What do you think?
I think that's just a coincidence, because, honestly, if you work with one production company and you say, "Oh, we better cancel this so we can work with it," that's bullshit. I don't think one has to do with the other.
Well, we all know Lance Moss, folks. He's straight and to the point on this. James, the floor is yours.
Well, really what Rick said is more... Originally, SpikeTV was more for men. And basically, now they're converting it to where anybody can watch it, man or woman. So, I don't think this was the reason why. I just feel like they decided to make the deal right after they released TNA from their contract. So, I don't think it's The Rock's thing. I think it was just more on Spike decision. Like, okay, let's go away from wrestling. And like, oh, Rock, you wanna do this with this partner off with us? Sure, we can do it.
Very well said. All right, I'll go last. Well, see, we should have all seen this coming a mile away. I mean, I guess Spike TV wanted to go above and beyond and not just say it's only approved for men. And then we hear about The Rock's production with $7 production and, their new slogan, the ones to watch. I think it's a little bit cheesy, but, to each their own. In this situation, I mean, they're tired. They talk about troops and veterans and doing things sports related. And I mean, and wrestling is still sports, folks. So, I mean, technically it does count, but, why would Spike go away from the wrestling demographic to do something different? So that means we already confirmed that Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling will not be on Spike TV, folks. So I'm sorry. Don't give your hopes up.
Well, you know what? I think we just hit a nail on the head, and that was something I was kind of thinking about. You see The Rock, and now he's on Spike, and he set a deal. Now, let's think about this for a minute. Who did Rock used to wrestle for?
Vince
and the WWE.
And they were on
now,
Spike
obviously,
TV.
Yeah, and obviously, I could be reaching here for a minute, but wouldn't the WWE not want more wrestling shows to be on network television?
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Because they know that obviously, especially someone like Jeff Jarrett, who has a big history with wrestling, would be a form of competition, and he hates competition. So,
but he needs competition.
You know what though? But he doesn't care. The fans want the competition. Vince doesn't want the competition. As long as he has the asses in seats, he doesn't give a shit. Make no mistake about that, folks.
All right, James and Lance, you got anything more to add about this?
I did hear a rumor about early this week that ROH might be in talks with Spike. Of course, that could be an old rumor that I'm just now hearing.
Oh, well, this is the first I'm hearing about it. I mean, Ring of Honor with Spike TV would be interesting, but I don't know.
I heard about that, but actually, this is the first time I heard The Rock have his own production company. I never knew The Rock has his own production company, so... I mean, Rick could have a point, but at the same time, I just think... I think Spike TV wanted to get away from wrestling themselves.
Spike TV, because how many times can you watch Cops?
Exactly. And plus, really, it's like, what? When TNA left Spike, they wasn't doing so well. So.
Hence is Rick's point about competition and networks.
I don't
know. But yeah,
I understand, but I just don't feel like The Rock would, do that. I think it's Spike, not The Rock.
Oh, no, this is not on The Rock. I mean, many fans are going to say, oh, this is just a legitimate or so-called legitimate cop-out for Spike to drop pro wrestling. If you look at it from that point of view, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So I have to go with the boss on this one. Unless Spike TV is just doing some 180 turn, then I'm with Rick on this one. But with that said, we're going to go next into a little bit of smart wrestling fans. You don't hear it much on HWR, folks. You don't ever hear it. But you know what? We have something for you with these. You know why? Because there's a report on F4W Online reporting that there's going to be fans that might react to the main event at WrestleMania. Now, there have been feelings backstage among people. We don't know which type of people, but you'll get the drift mostly, that Reigns could come out as the big babyface and not be booed as much against his match with Lesnar for the title at WrestleMania. The reactions for Reigns had started getting better since the Rumble, but we still hear boos. But then again, depending on the wrestling fans that are smart, mostly of the IWC, yeah, we know how those goes are like. They're going to be very present for WrestleMania 31. And yes, HWR fans, I will be at WrestleMania, so I will go above and beyond for HWR, and I'll send pictures and videos, so rest assured that. Now, with that aside, Brock Lesnar, his drama with WWE created big buzz online with the contract, and, many feel that he'll have the same reaction he got when he faced Goldberg at WrestleMania 20. So, Lance, how well you think these smart wrestling fans will react to the main event? Will Reigns get yay? Will he get booed? Will Lesnar get anything? What do you think?
Well, let's face it, this will not be a normal Santa Clara crowd. Mania is never a normal crowd. So, chances are he might want to run to his car.
Okay,
they might get trapped in because if they piss him off like they did at Rumble, bad idea.
Okay. Well, I guess. Good point, Lance. James?
Being at a WrestleMania last year, Lance is right. You have, it's not a regular crowd. It's more of an international feel. So the international crowd may have a different feeling to it. The fact is that, yeah, WWE is going for Roman Reigns, but the fact, they look at one side. You're not looking at the whole scale, because really, yeah, he might get cheered, but most of the time he might get booed because of the fact that their favorite guy, like someone like Daniel Bryan or Ziggler, is not in the main event, and so that's why I'm with Lance on this one. I'm more afraid for Reigns.
Yeah.
Well, knowing that I'm from the Bay Area, hardcore wrestling fans, it's just like the environment of fans here in the Bay Area is probably more towards not violent, but more out there than the fans of Chicago and Philly. So just keep that in mind.
And I know how New Orleans react because I've been to like the last couple events here. We're like a neutral crowd. We still do the cheer for the good guys, boo for the bad guys, or unless like one of the bad guys is one of the fans' favorite. But it's just more like, it's going to be more hostile when it comes to international.
Yeah, well, let's not forget, a hostile environment is different if you're from Chicago or Philly and you know what wrestling's about. Yeah, but you have a good point. Right, boss, you're up.
Yeah, the demographic is really hard. From each state to state you go to, you don't really know who the fans are going to vote, who they're going to cheer for. Even in Cena's hometown, he doesn't always seem to get that, hometown cheer for. You would think he would, but he doesn't always get it. Boston boy doesn't get as much love he deserves. So, I'm not really sure what the feel is going to be for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, but I mean, personally, I think Roman Reigns, when he finally does win, he takes the title home. The fans will eventually get behind it. The most fans in general. So it's just one of those things you got to wait and see for me. We talked about this over on Billy's show, WGSTV, about how, some fans boo for the heels. I mean, cheer for the heels and boo for the fans. And you can't make logic out of fans. It just doesn't make sense. You can't. It's like going to any sport. People are going to cheer for who they want to cheer for, and that's that. Pure and simple.
All right. Yeah, and I'm going to go last, and I'm going to bring a page from our CWA brethren, Joseph Knight. When have you ever went into an arena which you can purchase a ticket to, and you see much wrestling that is traditional? Now, James did mention, folks, 2 minutes ago that, there's the old tradition of, cheering for the faces and booing for the heels. Now, in this case, we still have about maybe 15 to 20% of wrestling fans feel that Reigns should have not won the Rumble. Well, I'm going to bring that down to 4 words. Get fucking over with. Why? Because it's over. Now, Reigns we already knew this since last July that he was going to be the next Impact babyface going forward. Now, hence the smart wrestling fans, what I put on there is more that we may not like it, we may not have to agree with it, but it's something we eventually going to have to deal with. And what if Reigns does win? I'm going to be there to see it. But if Lesnar wins, well, hey, they always say the Raw after WrestleMania doesn't disappoint, right? So we're going to have to look forward to this. Any more about this, folks? Right, Lance, James, anything else? I guess that's no. All right. Next, we're going to go into a little bit of controversy. No, folks, we're not talking about Eric Bischoff. This is a second or third report about BillDemott physically abusing training wrestlers. Now, this has gone over the haywire. And James, I'm going to go to you first, but let me go ahead and try to make this big excerpt small as possible. We already know that Dolph Ziggler's brother, Nia Nemeth, as much as Joey Ryan, a former TNA star, has spent time in WWE developmental. And, they took to Twitter saying about some allegations that are corroborated against BillDemott. Now, just recently, we found out that WWE developmental trainers Austin Mattelson and Ryan Collins, formerly Talents, both accused Demot of physical abuse during their time and using profane, obscene language. Then WWE replied in a statement saying that there was not sufficient evidence that was found to validate the claims against them. But now it gets interesting, folks. Then, a couple days ago, Chris Jericho takes to Twitter and says that his training at the Hart Brothers camp was 10,000 times worse as his training with BillDemott at the time, and that he was a good friend and a good trainer. Now, in further response, EC3, Ethan Carter III, took to Twitter and said this: I loved and sacrificed what I've done for pro wrestling. A heart can stretch me any day. A know-nothing dipshit, yes, that's the word, folks, slapping me when I'm concussed is very different. Then Joey Ryan goes again on Twitter and says, I don't know that Jericho is condoning bullying, racism, and homophobia, but his tweet does suggest that the BillDemott stories are very true. Then, in closing, Joey Ryan, again, his third and final tweet reads, please let WWE know that you don't tolerate bullying, homophobia, and racism, and neither should they. #fire BillDemott. Now, in response to it early this morning, current Bullet Club star Doc Gallows, a.k.a. Drew Hankinson, said, BillDemott is a good trainer and a good friend. Also stated, he's a great trainer and teacher of young men growing into the wrestling biz. #respect. Now, James, this is the third time we've been hearing about BillDemott and with his physical. Okay, excuse that, folks. That BillDemott, this is the report about physical abuse and all these allegations. So, what's going on over there?
This is just a weird story. I mean, there's always two sides of the story, and basically an update to it. Chris Jericho actually deleted the tweet that he sent out about that. So it's just more like, I don't know. Really, what can I say? Really, it's like WWE say they found some, and I think WWE might be hiding some that nobody knows. And unless somebody does like a freaking lawsuit, then we don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, but I mean, let's go back to what I said. We had Jericho defending BillDemott, but EC3 and Joey Ryan are saying, why is WWE letting it happen? And then we get the tweet early this morning from Don Gallows that, he's the best in the business. So this is kind of 50-50, wouldn't you say?
Exactly,
I mean,
because you gotta have some people defending him, some people that just say it's all the BS, and I think it mostly is from the stars that then go up to the main roster or even up to NXT or whatever. So that's where most of the stuff is. It's like, this person does this, and if they don't get their stuff, they ought to get what they deserve,
Well, very good point. All right, boss, what do you think about all this with BillDemott?
You know, if this was another accusation from Pat Patterson, I would have said, you know what, 100% I would have believed it. Because we've all heard stories from Pat Patterson all the way back from the 70s, from wrestlers, from ring crew, all the way down. From even Hall of Famers who've come out and said, hey, you know what, I was attacked by this guy. But BillDemott so far has had a pretty much clean record. He's been an amicable wrestler and a trainer. And I think this, honestly, is a witch hunt. And I say that honestly because I truly believe it. Until there's some more evidence that comes out, you're innocent until proven guilty in this case. And I honestly believe he's innocent. Now, you got guys like EC3 and this other guy
Joey
coming
Ryan.
out. Thank you, Joey Ryan. Thank you. Now, not to really come down on these two guys, but you could call it sour grapes. Could say that maybe that it was taken the wrong way. That maybe BillDemott was coming down on these guys, or maybe he just didn't see it in them, and he just didn't pay enough attention to them. I don't know. But some people do get like that, but I honestly don't think that it was anything else other than he was just trying to do his job. He does. Anybody will tell you from who's worked, and even in interviews that says that BillDemott is a hard trainer. He pushes you hard and he works you hard, and if he doesn't see it, he moves on. So that's just my thoughts.
Very well said. Lance?
Well, kind of like what Rick said. BillDemott is known to be I'll put it like this, an extremely physical and hard trainer. Yeah. And again, like Rick said, these are all guys that didn't make it to the main roster. So I think it's sour grapes. Also, something that kept popping up in my mind, offensive language. Offensive language. Shut the fuck up and move on.
And here's the thing, though. Really, how many trainers doesn't use offensive language or be physical with their people that they train?
Hell, in that case, how many coaches in general in professional sports don't use cuss words?
Exactly.
Or offensive language.
Exactly. So basically, as I said, it's just two sides of the story. We don't know who's true, who's real. WWE say that they believe BillDemott. The others, yeah. Unless something comes out, I'm not gonna say anything else.
All right. Well, if you find out anything, fellas, let me know. And I guess I'll say one more thing before we go to the last topic, is that you all three made it, very good valid points upon the same demographic. I mean, BillDemott is a good trainer, even though this is probably a second or third, accusation. And EC3 wasn't NXT as Derek Bateman, for those who don't know. Joey Ryan, I never even knew he was in NXT, but when Doc Gallows came in, he was Doc Gallows, he was Doc whatnot. But the bottom line is, until we find out more, let's not get too much into it until all the facts are in. But I mean, I know right now BillDemott is probably stressing his ass off about all this, but yeah. And now, hardcore wrestling radio fans, we're going to go to James. We have a little bit of update about the ladder match for WrestleMania, as more people have been announced for the ladder match. James, we bring it up to you.
All right. So as we know, the Intercontinental Championship will be defended in a ladder match. I think this is the first time since WrestleMania 10 has the Intercontinental Championship been defended in a ladder match at Mania. Yeah. As you know, Wade Bad News Barrett is the champion going into it. And you know how they do hot potato with the Intercontinental Championship, just like 24/7 rules, but without actually any pin or submission and title changes. But R-Truth was also announced on Raw, I believe. So, but then recently, just today, they added Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper into this ladder match. And on WWE.com, there is only 2 empty spots left. So the question is, Dolph Ziggler, and who else do you see? Go with the boss first. Or also, do you see anybody else added instead of making it
So
6?
there's 2 spots, and who's officially? So how many people were supposed to be in this match?
By the looks of the picture, it's 6. It's 4 confirmed, 2 empty. Bad News Barrett, R-Truth, Luke Harper, and Dean Ambrose are the confirmed.
Oh, that's easy. You know who the last 2 people are. No question. It's going to be Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. Not even a question.
Do you see anybody else? Do you see this expanding?
No, not even a question. Unless if one of those 2 get injured, not even a question in my mind. Unless if they add more people in. If they're going to add somebody else in, God. No, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. Lance?
Yeah, I'm tempted. Hell, I gotta say, because like Rick said, I don't see them bringing anybody else into this clusterfuck of an angle. Because let's face it is a clusterfuck. But yeah, Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler.
MVP?
I'm on board. I don't see it, but it's going to be Dolph Ziggler. And now you said everybody thinking Daniel Bryan because he doesn't have a match. And let's face it, ever since he's been with the company, he's not been anywhere near the Intercontinental Championship. Fact, folks. So, yeah.
Unless if, of course, Axel Mania wants to get into the action.
He'll be busy at the
Battle Royal. Yeah, I know. I was just being a wise ass.
I put in this. It's going to be Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler because I think, really, if you think about it, Daniel Bryan, if you put him in a match against Sheamus, what is the point of that match? While if you go put him in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, at least he's fighting for a title. You know, he can get a title that's not the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, but it's kind of even though it's lost its prestige. At one point in time, remember the Intercontinental Championship rivaled its prestige of the WWE Championship. So I could see like maybe even Daniel Bryan winning the match. If they add somebody, they can add Sheamus to the match, make it 7.
Since we brought up Sheamus, I do see Sheamus showing up at WrestleMania, but I do not see him at the ladder match. If anything, I see him showing up at the Battle Royal.
Okay. Lance, anything you want to bring up to this point?
Yeah, honestly, the only thing that Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus at Mania would do was prove that Daniel Bryan cannot lose to Sheamus in 18 seconds.
I mean, Daniel Bryan is winless against Sheamus at WrestleMania.
Yeah, but ain't nobody got time to see that again.
Well, he's 2-0. Sheamus is 2-0 against Daniel Bryan. One was a dark match and one was MVP? Or is he on the phone?
No, I'm still here. Just basically, we forgot about Sheamus because they had his vignettes going for about a month, and nobody knows where he's going to come. He may be the Mystery Sixth, possibly, but I still say Daniel Bryan is Ziggler because I think that would sell a lot more.
Okay.
And that, folks, I guess we're going to wrap it up here, folks. So you tell us about the show. How did you feel about SpikeTV and The Rock? How smart wrestling fans would react to the main event? And BillDemott. You know, do the original thing. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Rate the video. We're everywhere. YouTube, Daily Motion, SoundCloud. You know, we're not at a local cafe, so we're not there, so don't try it. So, Rick, take us out. Where can you find us at?
Of course, you can always check us out on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And anytime you want to check out any of our videos, please subscribe to us at youtube.com/HWR Show.
Lance, where are you at on YouTube?
YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. Got album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck cooking videos, musical equipment reviews, the archives of controversies and scandals, some rants. And check me out on Twitter also. It's at LanceMossTV.
James, tell the people you're at on Twitter and Twitch.
Twitch.tv/Fatboy504. I am on Twitter at Fatboy504. And if you want to go watch my random YouTube page, which I update very little of, it's youtube.com/JTD70129.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap it up. So for the boss, the incomparable one, and the Twitter god, this is Will saying, thank you for joining us at HWR, and where we're going to find a good WrestleMania, we'll find out. So till next time on HWR.
Thank you for listening to this edition of In the News. Be sure to check us out over at facebook.com/hardcore wrestling radio, and also be sure to follow us over at dailymotion.com/HWR show. And now, check us out at our new location, soundcloud.com/hardcore wrestling radio. Until the next time, this is your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.